Hello, this is finishing up your flower beadwork project. So you made this flower beadwork with 6 little circles and then finished up the edges. And I'm going to show you a technique in a minute to make those nice edges. And I'm also going to show you how to cut this to make a nice little beaded pin and how to attach the backing and the pin base. I'm going to start with this little golden green flower. We're going to be putting the edges on around our circles. So you'll need your needle and thread, of course, and we're going to come up right next to, right here, on one of the lines in the middle, kind of right next to the center circle. And then we'll put on 7 beads. Okay, there's 7 beads on there. So I usually drop my needle at this point so that I can use my thumbs to guide this around. So I want to make it close enough, as close as I can to the circle in the middle, and then I wrap it around the circle of the petal, and then I push it with my fingers so that it's nice and tight on the thread. So I'm going to clamp my thumb down over this to hold it all in place, so you won't be able to see it, but right where the last bead ends is where I want to put my thread back down through the fabric. And then when I pull that tight, I'm holding it a little bit of pressure on the threads in the back with my fingers. That looks really nice. Of course, it's not fully attached, so we'll have to tack it down now. While I'm tacking it, I'm holding it again with my thumb so that everything kind of goes exactly where I want it to go. A lot of beadwork just consists of putting things where you want them with your thumbs. So you can sort of push and pull the circle around if it didn't end up quite in the middle of your petal. See, we're able to kind of shift that in a little, and then I can tack down the outside of the flower to hold that in place. All right, let's keep going. So I'll have to get my thread back up to the top. This time I'm going to put my thread through this last bead before I put the 7 on. That way it's going to make one continuous line all around the edge of the petal. So I'm going to come up just behind the last bead, pull my thread through, and now I'm going to put it through this last bead here. And then I'm going to add my 7. Okay, I put my needle down again so that I could play with this. So you can see that you can't even tell where the 2 meet, sort of, the 2 lines of 7. And if I wrap this around, actually, you know what? I feel like 7 is a little too much. So if I just pull 1 bead off of there, out of the way, 6 fits around there almost perfectly. Sometimes that 7th bead helps to sort of fill in a gap. Oops, got off camera there. There we go. Actually, yeah, there. I kind of made them fit. They're kind of shifting the green circle around a little bit, but yeah, just kind of adjust them till they fit. And then I got to clamp my thumb down on there again. Sorry, my thumb's not see-through, and you could really kind of see better, but I'm going to put my needle down right where that last bead ended. And when I pull it all through, there. That looks nice, but it has to be tacked down. So you'll continue on this way for each petal, and when you get to the last petal, you might find that there isn't enough room to put another line there. You can just start a little higher up, start right here off the petal and go around. I'll show you what that looks like. I'm just going to tack this down first. We like to tack every second bead, so you're just making a little stitch between the beads on the thread that holds them, and then that, if the threads are held in place, then the beads, of course, will stay in place as well. Okay, that should do for now. I'll show you what it looks like to do less than a full row. What we're going to do is start just from this point here. So I'll bring my thread up there. And I'll put on another 7 beads. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap those around like that. Yeah, so you couldn't see that I could definitely have gone down and started here and just done exactly the same thing, gone all the way around. But when you get to the end of your flower, you probably will find a point where you have to start a line in the middle like that. So let's have a look at the blue flower that I showed you earlier, because it's completed as a circle or as a flower. So on this side, you see that each petal has its own outline. Same with here and over here. And then this last petal, it's just an arc, a half circle there, because, you know, I couldn't fit two lines in between those petals. But you can't really tell when you look at it, and it's symmetrical. So we're going to continue on with this. And so if you want to see again and follow along how to finish up your flower edges, go ahead and rewatch that last video and you can finish up the rest of the edges on the flower. But I'm going to start now with this guy, and we're going to look at how to finish up the outside and attach the back. Okay, so with this blue flower, I'm going to put it on my extra backing here, and then I want to make a nice circular shape around my flower, and I need to leave a little bit of space, about the same width as your pin backing around the edge of this flower. Okay, so it's maybe like a 1/4 inch or just a little less, because we're going to need room to stitch. And I'll just show you what I mean on this bigger flower. See how there's space all around the edge? If I don't leave space, there's nothing to stitch there, and we need to stitch all the way around. Okay, so we're going to very carefully with scissors trim around, and in a roundish shape. You see this one's actually not round, it's more of like a pentagon, but it still looks nice. Hey, so yeah, let's go around very carefully here, and I want to leave that little bit of room, so I'm kind of going out from the edge a little. I'm cutting them both at the same time so that they'll be the same shape in the end. Okay. Spend a little time making it a nice shape. I feel like that turned out pretty good right off the bat, but that doesn't always happen to me. I'm going to try to make sort of all the sides look nice and even, but remember, we cannot lose that edge around the flower there. I think that'll do the trick for me. So Now I'm going to get some thread on my needle and we're going to attach our pin backing, pin backing onto the back of our project. So let's put the little flower aside and we'll take this pin backing actually here, let's just make sure we definitely want it on the side that matches what we just cut out. So I realized when I picked it up that I shuffled it about a bit. I want to make sure it still matches nicely. See, because it can be this way or it could be this way, right? So just make sure you line it up. And something that's probably smart to do is we'll draw a little line where we want our pin backing, and that way we can't get confused. So I'm just relining it up here. There we go. Okay, there we go. That matches. So I'm going to draw a little line here. I'm just going to get myself a pen. Okay, so you want the pin backing to sit horizontal across your flower, whichever way you think is up. So for me, I feel like this is the top of my flower here. So I want my pin backing to be across the back, near to the top, so that when it hangs, it's going to hang down. If you have it low down here, your pin will sort of droop in a funny way. So this is how we're going to put it on. So I'm going to put a marking there now for myself so that I know. I needed a new pen. Let's see if this one works. Oh my goodness. Let's see. I feel like you can always trust a Sharpie. There we go. So that's how I want my line. That's where I'm going to sew on my pin backing. And also your pin backing has a bit of a top and bottom. You'll have to look real close. It probably doesn't show up on camera, but there's a hole at the top that allows the pin backing to release. That should be facing upwards towards the sky, because that way if the pin backing opens while you're wearing it, the bottom of the pin can't fall out, because this is like a cup pointing upwards. Does that make sense? So I'm going to turn it so that my pin backing is facing upwards. And then finally, now that I've done all of that, I'm going to take the backing off of the little flower, lay the flower aside, and I'm going to be able to attach my pin backing. So to do that, I'm going to need my needle and thread. And I want to get this centered, and I want to make sure the backing's not hanging off the edges anywhere that it'll be visible. So I need to make my first stitch from the back of the backing. And this will be invisible. The knot will be invisible on the inside between the two layers, between the backing and the front of the pin. I didn't make my knot big enough. I've got to make a nicer one. Hold that in place a little bit better. There, that should do the trick. Okay. All right, pin backing on here, nicely lined up. Now I'm gonna hold it. And use that line to kind of line me up. So to sew these on, you just, you're gonna sew at the 3 holes and just put a few good secure stitches in and out. Well, if you go around the pin like I just did, you can open it up and remove it. Yep. There it is. Okay, I'm just going to take that piece right out of the equation for a minute. Okay. Now I'm going to line this back up. It's small, so even on camera, it's a little hard to see, but I'm just bringing the needle through that first hole a few times to hold the pin backing there. make sure you do at least a few, maybe like 4 passes per hole. These are sticking together. Because if the pin comes off of, comes off of your shirt or comes off of your flower's lost, and all your hard work with it. So we'll attach the pin backing very firmly. I'm so glad I put that line there to line up my pin backing, because I had to cut my thread at one point already. And at least now I know where I intended that pin backing to go. Okay, I'm just doing the same thing with the middle circle. Just doing some stitches in and out of the circle to hold it in place. I have to twist it around quite a bit, so it's hard to see on camera, but I think you guys probably get the idea. Just trying to really secure the backing by those holes. Okay, one left. All right, now that I've got this secure, I'm going to go through again. So I'm on the opposite side, and there you can see all of my messy stitches, but no one's going to be able to see them once we attach this to our pin. And that's why we have a backing separate from the pinned piece. So this is where I'm going to make my knot. And all future knots are going to be made between the 2 layers of the backing material and the beadwork. And in that way, there will be no visible stitches. And if you're not sure how to make a knot between 2 layers of cloth, I am going to show you as soon as we get to the edge stitching portion, which is coming up here right away. Okay, we are back. We've got our pin backing on, the backing fabric. I'm going to close it so I don't poke myself any more than necessary. And now I have to line this shape up again with the back of the beadwork. So let's see here. This kind of reminds me of a shield, the shape of it. There, I think I got it. All right, let's look at the front. Yep, looks good. Okay, so we have to stitch all around the edges, just like this other pin here, and we're going to use a blanket stitch because it's really good for binding edges together. And so I want to show you how to do that. So get yourself a needle and thread, put a knot in there, and to hide a knot, you go between your layers of thread. So I'm going to just go from in between. I'm going to go out. Again, it's going to be about the same width as this backing piece here. That's how far in we are going to go. And so now that needle, that knot is caught in between the 2 layers where nobody's going to see it. So that's where we're going to start binding these 2 layers together. So I've come out the back when I did that. And now I'm going to go in the front in the same place so that I'm coming out really close to where I just went in. So I've just done like a loop around the edge. See? Can you see that? Okay. I'm going to pull the loop snug, but not too tight. And so now I'm going to go in again, from the front. And I'm gonna do, it's gonna be again the width of your backing. So I don't know what this is, like a couple of millimeters. And as I go through here, I'm gonna make a, like, catch the loop essentially. So watch this as I come up here, and I don't want to close the loop all the way because I'm gonna put my needle through it. And then I'll let it close, okay? So that's how you make a blanket stitch. So we're gonna do that over and over. So we're gonna go about the same distance over here. And this might catch on your thread as you're going, so just be careful of that. So I'm gonna pull this, and then as the loop starts to get close to hugging the fabric, I'm gonna go from back to front and just put the thread through it. And every time I do that, it gets the thread sort of lined up along the edge of the fabric. So as we go along, you'll see that it starts to make the blanket stitch shape. So I'm going from front to back, and then as the loop closes, I'm putting needle from back to front, just through the thread. If the verbal instructions are confusing, you can just watch what my hands do. I'm putting my needle in the front, going all the way through. I'm going to pull it till I see that loop, and then I'm going to put my needle through it towards me. And then as I pull the thread away from me so that it tightens up and creates this sort of edge binding. All right, so we go all the way around like that, always from front to back, and then going through the loop towards myself, and then pulling the thread away from me. So I'm not pulling too tight. I want it to be snug, which means it's hugging the fabric, but it's not shifting the shape of the fabric or creating pucker marks or anything like that. I'm going to go all the way around like this. And this, I remember when I learned blanket stitch, I found it a little confusing. I was always forgetting what direction to come in. So, you know, take your time and use whatever method is easiest for you to remember. There's my loop. Put my needle through there and pull. The tail on my thread is getting a little short. So if you do need to grab a new thread, go into the fabric to tie your knot in between the two layers with your needle like this, and tie your knot right in there, and then just continue on again with a new thread and leave your knot again in the middle, because then nobody will see it. I'm going to see how far I can go with this short thread. You guys can probably see this better on the back because the backing is a darker color. On the front here though, you will see the lines of the stitches once we are completely finished, because the next step is the magic where we put these in water and we watch our pattern paper disappear. It's pretty fun. I'm going to move on to that section now. I'm going to show you how to finish this off. So when you're all finished, you come in, just like we said when we were switching threads, come in and tie your knot here. Okay? That's my dog. All right, I'll see you in the next section. All right, this next section features me tying a knot in my very short little thread, and then I use my needle to pull the string with the knot all the way through from one end to the other. So you see how the needle comes out there. It's sandwiched in between the two layers, and when I pull it through, it's pulling through the knot and thread so that everything's invisible, even the very last knot there. And then I'm just straightening that edge where I pulled it through so it doesn't look puckered. So everything's done, and that little thread that I pulled through, I'll just snip that off. And so now your flower is completed. Last thing to do is just to put it in a bowl of water and watch it dissolve. Get yourself a bowl of cool water and pop your pin in there. And it's going to take about 3 minutes to fully dissolve the paper on the pattern. So you can watch it happen in real time. I'm going to speed up this video a little bit. You'll also notice that I stir a little bit once in a while, just to speed up the process. Once your pin is ready and you don't see any more of this sort of looks like sticky thin paper on the front, then take it out and put it into like a kitchen towel or something and dry it off really well. Press the water out and then set it aside to dry. And you're done.